Hello, possums and all intrepid viewers from wherever you are. Here we are having a look at what's happening right now. And I can say, look, it's not looking marvelous for a whole range of reasons. So, in the course of this reading, what I want to look at is how to deal, how to be part of the resistance to the craziness. We can't pretend it's not happening. It so is happening, but we need to support each other in this time. It's absolutely essential. And I see there's more podcasts coming on stream now, independent podcasts. And I think this is now the voice. Legacy media has left everyone in the lurch, and capitulating over Jimmy Kimmel was yet another line in the sand that has been wiped out. Now, here's something. I saw a guy interviewed. He was a TV weatherman for 40 years in somewhere, not famous. We're not talking New York or Chicago, but somewhere in the Bible Belt. And he said, look, what can you do about the Jimmy Kimmel episode? And he advised people, particularly if you are in the non-famous states. This is just as important because local television stations are vulnerable to pushback from people. Is it ABC that Jimmy Kimmel was with? He said target their sponsors. Right? Find out who sponsors, who advertises in that format, and go after them and write to them and say, this is killing free speech. This is killing the First Amendment. Won't buy your product or your car or your anything. Please have a think about your position on this. And I think that's good advice. Okay. Now, hold on a moment. So we're at this point in time, adapt and survive, right? Even on YouTube, and those of you who might have noticed, if you went to my last YouTube, you then had to sign in again to prove you were over 18 and all. Every time we turn around, there's a setback. It's okay. We've got to roll with the punches, and there are a lot of punches. Okay, all of us. Because I'll just remind everyone, this is impacting in the entire world. Everything's been upset. There is not one country that has not been impacted by the tariffs, the threat of tariffs, um, war maneuvers off the coast of Venezuela, no matter where you look. So it's not going to magically right the ship. But if you're flexible enough to deal with it, there will come a time, like with all regimes, where it inevitably comes to crunch time. Okay. So it will come. So in the meantime, please hang in. Okay. Now, meanwhile, shutdown due next week. Schumer and Jeffries wanted to have a conversation with the Republicans, not a demand, they requested a conversation. Anyway, that was battered back. And in fact, the Republicans have been sent home for 9 days till after it's over. What? I think the Senate's still operating on some level, but I think Congress has gone home or something, something. What? Now, I've been moaning about this for years. I will just say to Americans, there's many things that I think are taken for granted in the American system that are not done in other places. And one of them is the threat to shut down the national economy once a year. What is that about? Who thought that was a good idea? It might have worked 200 years ago. It's not valid now, but let's have a look yet again at the shutdown. Quick look, quick look. Oh, wow. Now that's fascinating. I think. more interesting than I thought. So we have the Fool card. So depending where you sit on the spectrum of what the Dems should do, could do, won't do, might do, from where I'm sitting, I remember last time they almost let it shut down and then Schumer saved it. Remember? Foolish act. Will they do it again? I can't rule it out. Can't rule it out. However, this now, bountiful money representing the economy, but this card is also that of fool's gold. It makes you wonder what's left of the actual economy to save. I digress. So, US subsequent governments, not just Republican, subsequent governments have been hitting the printing presses till they're worn out. It's coming to a bit of an end game about that. King of Pentacles. I think this could be Trump's interference again with the big stick. But this is how convoluted the story has got. I don't know whether he's going to insist they keep it open or insist that it falls over because that's more chaos and he could have a better thing. That's how demented it is at this time, possums. I mean, my God, I have to have another look. What does that mean? The big stick, keeping it open. Is that Mike Johnson thing, or is this done? Oh, my brain's gone. Is this a Senate issue, not a Congress issue? What's happening? What's happening? Is it going to close? Sorry. Yeah, I think it is going to shut down. This is the card of social activism. This could be the Dems rallying around this issue. Let's hope, because with the Dems, they are such a mixed bag. This would indicate a shutdown to me. Last minute flurry of activity, will we, won't we, including certain votes with the GOP. But I think they will. Um, with the Dems, on the one hand, I think most of us are frustrated with the lack of Dem leadership at this crucial time in history. It can't be defended. They're just talking like it's a normal time, and it's not. It is not. But they have got fighters on the next level. They are fantastic. The next level down. On the other side of all this, I can see AOC running in 2028 and maybe getting there because 2028 is so far away from here. It's like the old America, which was already an oligarchy, but servicing the rich. It's going down, 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 despite the stock market being up, all the equities are worthless, etc. So it's going down, down, down. Maybe it has to get this far before average Americans will accept a radical left voice. We keep hearing the radical left, the radical left. I mean, apart from Kyle Kulinski, Bernie, bless his heart, isn't even radically left. He's a social democrat. I love everything he says. He is still doing that magic, the Bernie magic. Put him in a room with 150 MAGAs for an hour and they come out converts. Now, what does this say? A, he's a blessed being. He has the it factor, but he is so ancient now, bless him. But it shows even the most hardline can be converted if it's put in a language that they understand. And there's no good going for these huge ideas up here. You've got to talk to people where they are. And his successful tour, and just recently this week, sitting down with MAGA voters in deep red spots. And they've come out going, hadn't thought about that. No one has ever mentioned that. Oh, now I understand it. Oh, now I have to think about being, not in a bad way. There's, hadn't thought about it. Oh, of course. This, give the man 60 minutes. It is not an insolvable problem, America. So please, no matter how crappy it gets, the key is tapping into that psyche. And where does that come from? It comes from a shared identity of being American. Now, what happens everywhere? Let me have a sociology moment here. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about the far right in Australia, Canada, UK, America. The far right, anti-immigration, usually anti-women stuff, but it's always about visibility and racism, like immigrants are the enemy, right? That's always the thing they have in common. And so when they say, we are the real Britain, they say, right, or we're the real Australians, we're the real anything, right? Dems have to reclaim the narrative and start talking about what it means to be American and what is intolerable as an American with this first one. Use the word, because otherwise they dominate that space. Oh, if you want to be a real American, you have to vote MAGA. No one else is a real American. So they undermine everyone else's collective identity because they've got the loudest voice. The Dems need to come out night and day and say, Americans will not tolerate this. Raise the game. So, enough for that. Let's move on for a moment. Excuse me. Too much talking. Oh, wow. Now, the Epstein stuff is not going anywhere. Why? Because now Bloomberg have the 15,000 plus emails. So let's see if the Epstein stuff has the power to impact. I've always been a bit hesitant about this because we're going to hear of great filmmakers and movie stars and musicians and stuff as well, you know. But let's see. Is there any mileage or will even this issue be superseded? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Epstein. Now, I think with this problem, things keep circling back to the same issue out in the cold. I think other people will be burnt by this, not just those Democrats in the broadest sense of Democrats that I described. I think this is going to impact on some Republicans, but not the Teflon one. I think the story's going to expand, literally, but I think this is um, getting away to a safer space. So it's like they're able to slither out, not just Trump getting away with it, but the higher, more famous, more cashed up they are, will be able to move to other spaces, figuratively speaking. In other words, it's not going to be fatal to him. Yeah. The victory, I think, will long term, the victory will go to the survivors, but not now. And so already they're being demonized now, right? So it's not as obvious as, oh, these brave women speaking up about when they were girls and stuff. That should be enough, but it's not. But this is long term. the victory will be theirs because I think they'll be able to sue all sorts of people once it's out. I think we're at the beginning of a lot of this stuff. Oh, you can never get away, can you? I mean, look. Okay. So meanwhile, the Yeti's just been in the UK making a fool of himself, demonstrating to the entire world that he has the brain of a goldfish. It was horrendous in every way. But, and a lot of Brits were upset that he was given this second state reception and all of that. However, they're not that stupid. He wasn't allowed to speak to Parliament. They made it when it was in the recess, so he couldn't speak to Parliament, which is just as well. But look, and Starmer, zippity doo-dah faith in Starmer, closet conservative. I am not his biggest admirer. But what he did do, and King Charles also did do, was talk about Ukraine in the sense that we standing up for the Western world. And you could see Trump literally nodding off at the state dinner. And then Charles said something about tyrants. And, oh, they're calling me. They're calling me. You see him visibly wake up at the word. Staggering, absolutely staggering. All right, now, if we're looking at the economy and as opposed to the stock market, right? So the stock market has been kept artificially high. And I found out recently it's because such a huge percentage, more than 30% of the entire stock market is tech stuff. And so, because that's an active space, they're always discovering new things, stretching new things, finding new things, how to exploit new things. That provides a dynamism, explains it, that's keeping the stock market going. However, in stock market terms, the generic conventional indicators are plunging on an hourly basis. So they can only keep the circus up for so long. Only for so long. And the big problem they have is China is streets ahead in terms of AI and robot technology. So Elon and the others can witter on all they like, but they're being left behind. And did you see Elon in the UK speaking with at a Tommy Robinson rally? I can't think of an American equivalent, but hardcore, like beyond Alex Jones, hardcore racist stuff. And basically calling people to war, to rise up against this. So this is Project 2025. But what I think that I said in my last video that probably many people didn't access, it's not a pending civil war. We're in it. Everywhere we are in it, America most profoundly. But it's an active thing they're going through. So this absolute destruction of the economy, let's have a long-term look. On the good news front, and I think this is really important, a country rap star called Jelly Roll, he just got a huge sponsorship deal and got the check, and he gave 5 million towards helping the homeless where he lives. Bless him. Now we're going to look at the bigger economy because this affects your 401k, it affects mine. We call it superannuation. Hello. So we're all impacted by this. And Canada, bless Canada, leading the world in strength and conviction and saying no to the bully. Just say no, which isn't easy when you've got this huge population and a maniac hovering at your door, threatening to kick it down and going, you know what? None of us are moving. We're going to do it on our terms. Go Canada. But at a price, it's been very tumultuous for the Canadian economy, but they're going to come out on top. So this is a lesson, I think, for other countries. Go Canada. But let's look at the big picture of the economy in the US. How long can they keep this charade going? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Right, well, lies, 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 yes. Okay. MAGA's sort of getting there, but not there, because they're all emotion. They think they're the tough guys. They think they're the tough gals, but they're actually emotional drips, Minnie Mouse drippiness. They've got no control over their emotions. Okay, so why is that loomed large for the economy? I think it's because they're still susceptible to what they're told, right? It's all right. Look, the US is on the brink of what we're going to get trillions in tariffs. They're so desperate to believe it. So at this point, they still believe it, even though they're being sold a bucket of stinky fish, right? It's perfectly obvious to anyone who is having to get rid of their television subscriptions, move back in with family members, having the car repossessed. It is perfectly obvious, but they can't make the water. They're still deluded. He's their man, King of Wands, on the gold throne. Now, this is another thing. This is another thing, viewers. The Dems every day need to have pictures every time they turn up in the Senate or Congress of his reconstruction of St. Petersburg, all this dripping in gold, and saying, look, this is what he is doing. He's interior decorating while you're suffering. They need to say it. They need to do their thinking for them. They need to show them in pictures, right? You have to show them in pictures. They won't get it. Have it blown up every time a Dem stands up, a picture of this nonsense, and drive their faces into the obvious. Really. Now, this is, I was hoping this was for you guys, and you guys are all impacted. Doesn't matter where you sit in the social scheme, everyone's impacted. But this has turned out to be MAGA in the economy. It's just that happens sometimes with tarot, and we have to roll with what we're being shown here. This is interesting. Why? Because see the light of the church they're walking back. As they get more ground down, usually that throws people into the arms of the church, right? That's normally when churches, temples, any religious organization does better in the hard times when people are out in the cold. But they're going to start walking past it. I think this represents the prosperity gospel trash and nonsense. And Americans have been on a steady diet of it for 50 or 60 years from back in the day. Remember Tammy Faye Baker and all of that went. And as Australians, we would laugh and we go, people believe this shit. What is wrong with the American brain that they could possibly believe these people? Just send us the money. We've got the hotline to Jesus. And we found that hysterical. It's not funny anymore. It's really not funny. And Australians are not laughing anymore because now we've got a few more Pentecostals. But this is them, I think, starting to fall away from the church because, as I understand it, please correct me in the comments, there's layers of churches economically. So, as we also know, the most segregated place in America is church on a Sunday. Okay, we've already got the black and white thing going on. You have the very poor churches, more conventional Southern Baptist stuff, where ignorance is the currency, and you've got uneducated reverends playing on people's fears, playing on their bigotry, making them feel better because they're better than someone who's on the ground. Like it's actually appalling. And then you get into the higher echelons of just give me your credit card details, and the ones who are creaming it in and they've got their private jets and their kids all go to, the best of everything, etc. So you've got layers of society reflected within the church context. So you have a few of the traditional churches, the Episcopalians and some of the Presbyterians and Methodists who actually are running food banks and actually looking after people and giving people refuge from ICE and so on, doing Christian things. Imagine that. But I'm talking about this cheap. The word I get is cheap, the cheap, nasty, Old Testament, mean-spirited, hate-driven, oogie-boogie nonsense. You think tarot cards are the work of the devil? That's the work of, we don't believe here in an actual devil as an entity of, the devil to me is people's lowest selves, their lowest, most selfish selves. And that's what you're dealing with. And I think there's going to be a crisis in the Southern churches. Interesting. And it mirrors, because from what I understand it, the number of house foreclosures is the highest in the South now than 2008. So this is just the beginning. We are only 6 or 7 months in. So it's absolutely essential to not surrender to the very big doom and gloom. Now, we, not in America, but in Australia, as a Commonwealth country, we were fed a steady diet of what happened in the UK during the Second World War, for example. People were on rations. I'd forgotten. There was rationing in the UK, not just through the war years. Rations being every citizen was given a ration book and you were allowed whatever it was, 1 loaf of bread, 4 eggs, depending if you had kids and stuff. This much of everything was strictly rationed. And I didn't realize till recently the rationing only went on till 1953 or something, like after the war. They did it tough. But the point I'm working towards is this. When you talk to people individually, and including my mother who was evacuated and stuff, they talk about it in glowing terms. So even though there were aerial bombardments, it was like the camaraderie. They said we'd never felt closer to our neighbours and our community in that time, sharing bomb shelters, bonded the communities. And I think trauma bonding is a real thing. And so it's really important. So if you're having a good day, i.e., you've got out of bed and you've got out of your jammies, ring someone else who might need help or go and just help somewhere in a charity environment that you might not normally do or something. I think it's really important to save money wherever you can. And so things like get to know your neighbours. Can you have a potluck dinner once a week? So community, and I'm going to put a link up here, Twin Tarot, the twins, so that's David and Gary. They did a very special video in the last few days called What Are We Missing? The question being, everyone's under this colossal real pressure. What are we missing in the bigger picture that we should be knowing and doing? And I think it's a fabulous video. Go, guys. I actually emailed them and went, great job. And I'm putting up that link. And I think it will give you heart too. It's really important to, on the one hand, acknowledge this is not just a bump in the road, this is major. But at the same time, how to adapt. It's all about the flexibility, right? And on the other side, what I really hope will come from all this is that the second tier Dems will fly. I think they'll fight for their place in the 2028 lineup and they will do a great job. So just know we're in the bottleneck. Things are ugly. There's real pressure. But don't forget gratitude. We also need to be grateful for having each other. And if you're secure in your housing, please be grateful for that because not everyone is. Yeah. So I think we're going down the slope to the nadir. And the Vedic astrologers, Hogarth et al., have been saying the Western astrologers are going, oh, we're in the age of Aquarius, and the Vedic astrologers are going, no, still a few years away. Well, I think as it's playing out, the Vedic astrologers have it right. And so we've got to have lots of plans for lots of scenarios. So stay strong and talk to me in the comments what your suggestions are. So, guys, take care for now, and I'll see you before you know it. Take care. Bye.